Thank you. It is great to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to tell you about our technology. I am Fatma Kaplan, the CEO of Pheromones. We use a new kind of pheromone to control agricultural pests. Do you know what is common in all these pictures? Any idea? Nematodes, the roundworms. Nematodes are the most abundant animal on Earth. If we just stripped the soil off the Earth, we could see ghostly shape of Earth made of nematodes. They infect nearly everything. If they can't infect, they will eat them. They can stay dormant for decades, so they can be very difficult to control. And our technology to control nematodes have markets in the current agricultural pest control market. It also has applications in the future emerging markets, for example, indoor agriculture or interstellar agriculture, which I will talk at the end of this presentation. So our technology has applications in today's, tomorrow's, and in the future's market. Why nematodes? Farmers lose 12% of their crops, which is about $157 billion annually. To feed the growing population, farmers have to control pests. Consumers demand safe and eco-friendly solutions for the food they eat, because they're aware of adverse effect of conventional pesticides on our environment and on our health. That increased the organic food demand and at the same time increased the regulation, government regulation, on the pesticide residue on our food. Now, farmers need eco-friendly solutions, and this had increases in biopesticides because they're eco-friendly. It also increased the seed treatment because it used a lot less chemicals and it has a lot less impact on the environment. Our solution is a new kind of pheromone from nematodes. I have been working both nematodes and pheromones for more than 10 years. I identified the first mate-finding pheromone from model nematodes C. elegans. Then we published this work in Nature. Then I identified that other behaviors were also regulated by pheromone. Now, this gives us the power to control all nematodes for natural pest control. The first behavior we focused on is a dispersal behavior. What this tells nematodes is they don't have enough food and they're too crowded. They need to go out and search for a new host. In the absence of pheromones, we will see pretty soon is they will stay in one location. Right now, they're staying in one location and they're not searching. And once we add the pheromones, now we add it, now they're all searching, looking for. And the wiggly things on the screen is microscopic roundworms. And these are the good guys. They go after insects. So we have two products based on the technology. In the previous slide I showed, we are developing two products. One is for the good nematodes, and one is for the bad nematodes. The bad nematodes are the ones they attack plant roots. On the surface, we don't see, but farmers feel when they harvest their crop because it reduces the yield. With this product, we are targeting seed treatment, and we are protecting the plants when they are very young and vulnerable. And we are telling the nematodes that this host is already taken, they should go someplace else. So in a way, we are repelling the nematodes away from the young seedlings. And it can also be used with other biopesticides and to enhance their activity. And Nemastim is for the good nematodes. If you remember in one of the first slides, I said they infect nearly everything, so they also infect insects. In this case, it's a good thing because now we can use them for biological control, and they're commercially available to control insects. And the commercial nematodes are not as effective as they should be. With the pheromone product, we make them more effective by directing them in a safe and effective way to go and search for a new insect. And here we have beneficial nematodes, the good guys, just treated with water. And let's see, do we have the laser?
Yeah, press the middle button.
Okay. Right here we placed, and this is the healthy insect. And these nematodes, if you remember video, they were staying in one location, so they didn't search. And the insect here is alive and well. And over here, we treated them with Nemastim, and we told them they need to go out and search. And these nematodes searched, and they found the insect here. And this is the dead insect because it is discolored. So we can increase their effectiveness up to 200%. We recently completed our proof of concept greenhouse trials. Now we are ready to move into orchards to control insects in the orchards. These are the products in the pipeline and their stages, and we are very happy. Actually, we are moving forward with commercial demonstrations with Nemastim and to control thrips in the greenhouses. We also have a platform to develop more nematode products. So we plan to enter the market from special to high-value crops, and then move to greenhouse growers and small farmers, then to B2B. And our first target is home and garden and indoor agriculture, where we can reach our consumers directly. For the specialty greenhouse growers and the small farms, we will be reaching to them through distributors. So we do have great interest from greenhouse growers like Miraculex and the biopesticide companies that are producing beneficial nematodes, such as Coppert, which is a European biopesticide company, and we are working with them to test it in their greenhouses. And we also have interest from distributors like BioBee. Currently, we established a greenhouse trials, and we will have the results pretty soon in their greenhouse. It is an Israeli biopesticide company and a US distributor for beneficial nematodes. We also have seed companies like KWS or Syngenta or Marone Bioinnovation, which is actually a local company in Davis. They're interested in our seed treatment product and to work it with their product to make it better. So our main competition comes from chemical pesticide companies, but we're cost effective and we're also eco-friendly and non-toxic. So we have a uniquely suited team to bring Nemastim to the market. I am an expert in pheromone-regulated nematode behavior. My co-founder, Cameron Schiller, here is an experienced entrepreneur with a background in economics. And we are very lucky to have science advisors who are leaders in beneficial nematode field, like Dr. Shapiro and Dr. Ed Lewis. And they have helped other companies to bring nematode products to the markets, and they're leading our greenhouse and field trials in orchards. We also have a very experienced team of business advisors. Dr. Marone, she is the CEO of Marone Bioinnovations, and she's in Davis. And we also have Julie Morris for commercialization and Neil Cohen for our marketing. So we are very excited. In the past 2 years, we developed our working prototype and we completed our greenhouse trials. Now we are moving with commercialization in the greenhouse growers market. And the most important part is to scale up. So we are working on manufacturing and scaling up so we can bring this product to you. And we're very interested in the farmers and gardeners who would like to try our product. and our target is to enter the market at the end of this year, so we can be in the market. Now I'm going, before that, we also secured facilities because developing a biotechnology product is expensive and it requires a very expensive infrastructure. We utilize many of the incubators, so we have access to facilities to scale up and at the same time conduct our field and greenhouse trials. So this is our very recent project, and we are very excited about it. When I said probably interstellar agriculture, it might have looked very far away, but it is not. So we will be sending nematodes to space. When I say we're sending nematodes to space, everyone says, why nematodes in space? You don't have any plants. But NASA has a mission to colonize the moon and the Mars. And to be successful in colonization, we need food and we need agriculture. And NASA also have, like SpaceX, they're planning to have routine trips to space. If we have routine trips to space, we will have insects there. There is no way we can avoid them. Then we need solutions. So we want to know, next thing, whether we can actually do biocontrol in space. Nematodes actually go through the soil using their muscles, and they also smell the insects to find them. So we don't really know in space, because we don't have gravity, how they utilize their muscles, go through the soil, and find the insect. And another question is, what about the insect immune system? Because we are also stressing their host insects. We have microgravity. So how would they respond? Or would they be able to infect the insect? Let's say they were successful. Then would they get out? What kind of pheromones they would produce? Do they produce the same type of pheromones on Earth? So we will be learning many of these questions. Then we will apply those, particularly the ones with respect to pheromones, to our current product development with Nemastim, whether they're the same, whether they could utilize the same system. So to learn more about our mission to space, you can please stop by, and to learn about our other products. Thank you. Hang on 1 second to get the mic.
Dispersed to go look for food. Are they specific about which insects they go to eat?
The question is, when nematodes go out and search, do they have any specificity? Is it one insect or multiple insects? So the beneficial nematodes actually have multiple insects, which is a good thing, because when you're trying to fix one problem, you can actually fix multiple insect problem. But there are certain species, they go, let's say, 5 or 6, and there are other nematode species, they may have some overlapping host species. So that makes them broad spectrum. And the good thing about our pheromone product, that works on the commercial species. So the target specificity of the beneficial nematodes makes it either specific or broad spectrum. So we can control number of insects. They are safe for bees and pollinators.
So that's the issue, whether they could disrupt the beneficial insects.
So they do not infect beneficial insects and honeybees, so they're safe for honeybees and beneficial insects. EPA considers them so safe that they are not regulated as biopesticides.
Although that relates to my question, I'm thinking of the birds and the chain of life, and wondering if there's an outfit called Green Methods, and I once purchased nematodes from them, and it was very successful, but they were very specific nematodes for their very specific pest. And I just wonder, it is a real concern. We often go in with the best of intentions, and if it is widespread, how is that going to affect the chain? So I hope that there are controls being considered. Thank you. It's a wonderful technology.
So the question is, beneficial nematodes, when we target one insect, it's really great. But even though we don't intend, do we have any unintended consequences? So beneficial nematodes, luckily, are in the market for a long time. And there are many scientists who work with them, and they were wondering whether they would persist in the soil for a long time. It turns out that the commercial nematodes do not actually persist more than 2 years. One of the good things about beneficial nematodes is the stage that actually attack insects is a very specific larval stage. If they're adult, they don't actually survive in the soil because they have to be inside the insect host cadavers. So they don't leave. There's only one life stage that seeks for the host. And that particular stage, the mouth is closed and they have food reserves. If they don't find the insect, let's say within 6 months, I have to check it how long they would actually stay hungry. So until they find the right host, they're not going to infect anything. But once they find the right host, they will infect. There are some species, actually, they can infect, but they cannot reproduce. So in that case, life ended right there. Does that answer?
Yes, thank you. Any other questions?
Is there access to the trial data somewhere?
The question is, do we have access to trial data? You will have access to trial data. Currently, our collaborators, we do have a cooperative research and development agreement with the USDA, and our greenhouse trials, the proof of concept trials, are a third party done by the USDA and our other collaborator at the University of Idaho. We are preparing the manuscript. I am guessing in a couple of months, they will be available to public. And if you're interested, please leave your card, and we can let you know when they're public.
We have one here. Just a quick question. Is there any specific handling best practices for when you're actually handling the pheromones yourself and applying them? Is there something to that, or is it fairly straightforward and easy to do? Or?
The question is there any special handling, or do we handle it? I grew up in a farm. I was very lucky, and my grandfather had a farm, and I really enjoyed the farm. And one of the things I thought, if I'm developing a product, it should be very easy for the farmers to use. Nobody has to do any calculation. So one of the first things we did is to look at beneficial nematodes, how they're applied by the farmers. And we wanted to insert either one step, or we should be integrate into existing system that we can provide our products seamlessly. So it would not be extra work. And this is a question actually I've been asked by many biopesticide companies. And when the farmers receive the beneficial nematodes, they put them in a container because they have to rehydrate them. Right at that time, we also add pheromones because it is water soluble. And once the nematodes are activated, they're put in big tanks. And the farmers use existing chemical spraying equipment to spray it to the field. So the only addition is right at the beginning, adding the pheromone into the solution.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, we'll go disperse.
I was just curious about organic farms. How do you said this is an organic product. So does it affect certification or anything like that?
The question is, how does it affect organic certification, whether it would affect organic certification? Beneficial nematodes are used in organic farms. And I've seen actually in distributors' websites, sometimes it says organically certified, sometimes it says just normal beneficial nematode. I think it will be dependent on farmer. But there is one thing, actually, I do get the question, so how do you produce it? And when we also produce it from the natural sources, it's also considered as a organic. So we looked into that one.
I'm still thinking about the birds. So when the pheromones are applied and the birds that are dependent on eating insects are essentially going to be fooled into thinking there's insects there, I would think. I mean, has there been any thought to that shape and how that's affected?
So the concern is birds. What if the birds eat these insects that are already infected? Would it actually hurt the bird?
My
No?
question is that they're going to be fooled by the pheromones in a certain way, aren't they?
Oh, okay. Would the birds fooled by the nematode pheromones? So the good thing about pheromones, they're very species specific. So the birds will not see as bird pheromone. It only recognized by the nematode. And the way we are applying is, it's also concentration dependent. So we apply them in a small volume, but with the effective concentration. Once the nematodes are activated, they put in the big tanks. Now, in that volume, pheromones are not active, not even for any other nematodes. So we were concerned about unintended consequences. And also, the pheromones are not volatile like the insect pheromones. These are water soluble. They're not going to get into the air. But the pheromones, many of you are familiar probably from the insect pheromones, and it is usually in the air, and it creates a concentration gradient, so other animals can also smell. If the wind blows, they will go with that. These pheromones are actually put in the soil, so they find the insects underground. Most of the time, we don't see. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. So then, kind of like what she was saying about animals that feed on the insects that the nematodes are going to be eating, how would that affect, an ecosystem at large like that when you take away, maybe a bird that would eat, you know what I mean? Like, how does that change on a larger scale, an area in an ecosystem?
So the question is, what about the ecosystem? We are using these nematodes to kill the insects. Tell me I'm wrong. When you think about the birds, you're thinking about the natural environment, am I right? Not in a farmland. So we're not spraying these nematodes in a natural area. We are going to be spraying these nematodes in an area where we have agriculture, where there shouldn't be too many insects in the first place. Normally, in nature, you wouldn't be able to find it. We find so many insects in a farmland because we provide a nice environment there. We have too many of the same plants. So the agriculture there, if you look at it from a different point of view, we're kind of imbalancing there. When we create the same plant, number of them, we're also creating insects that shouldn't be. Normally, they wouldn't be growing that much. And another, the concern is we're not going to be spraying it to forest or anywhere else. We're going to be spraying it to where these plants are. We already disturbed the ecosystem. Now with the nematodes, we are kind of trying to balance it. That's at least how I look at it.
So I noticed that you're also pairing with Monsanto, and I guess my real...
Oh, no, we're not pairing with Monsanto.
Okay, I saw Monsanto as someone you were...
Oh, she used to, but she, in the past, worked for Monsanto, but she's one of the pioneers for biological control.
Okay, so, but that kind of trips me into thinking, if you're talking about farmland as separate from the larger ecology, that's one of the things that regenerative agriculture is really trying to address, is making sure that there isn't monoculture and large farms. So we do want to integrate the environment with our farms, with our small farms. And so that's why these questions are coming up about the birds that we do want to encourage as part of our natural ecosphere, and whether that will affect it. I mean, I hear that you're not applying it in forest land, but is it going to give more ammunition to agribusiness?
That is a very good question. Would we actually give more ammunition to agriculture? I think our solution as trying to integrate the natural is a better way. And instead of using chemicals which non-discriminatively kills everything, including the birds, and the nematodes, the ones that are applied commercially available, they're already part of the healthy ecosystem. And as we are building the balance, I'm hoping that in the future we're not going to be needing too much of these. So it would be self-sustained. So our products are on the establishing the the balance.
Thank you. Anybody else? What was that question, the young woman's question addressed then about if the birds eat, the question she had, if the birds were to eat these nematodes and these insects that have the nematodes in them, how will that affect things?
That is a very good question. The bird first needs to find the insect, which is underground. So this would be the kind of bird I don't think just going around and eating the rats. This bird needs to be fairly specific, eating an insect that is targeted by the beneficial nematodes and has to dig down to soil. And it could be probably maybe 10 centimeters, 30 centimeters down to soil, because sometimes insects go down that far. And even if let's say they found one, the good thing about these beneficial nematodes, they don't actually kill the insect. They do have a bacteria. It's a symbiotic bacteria that kills the insect, feeds on the insect, and nematodes feed on the bacteria. So they don't feed on the birds or the flesh. They target the bacteria. They're bacteriivores. And they also have a certain temperature range. They don't grow about 28 Celsius, and our body temperature is 37 Celsius. And depending on bird's body temperature, if it goes below, I don't know, that has to be tested. Does that answer any question? Maybe alleviate some of the concerns?
Yes, no.
Luckily, many of the questions we can look at the literature. Before they brought into the market, they have been, there are a lot of research done how the beneficial nematodes would affect environment and ecology.
When does your product come on the market for farmers like myself?
Our target date is next year, spring. So this year we are working very hard on raising funds and to scale up.
Look forward to it.
And do pilot production so we can actually bring it to the market.
Thank you, Dr. Kaplan.
Thank you.
Very